All right, get ready, because today we are doing a deep dive into Venice. I know most of you have probably seen pictures of it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You know, the dreamy canals, the gondolas, that romantic atmosphere. But we're going to go a little deeper today. We're going to try to uncover what makes this floating city tick, historically, architecturally, and believe it or not, even a little bit geologically.
A little bit of everything, right?
We've got some research articles, historical accounts, and we are going to extract the most interesting nuggets just for you.
It's more than just floating, though, you see, building a city on water. Especially back then,
Oh, for sure.
in the 5th century.
Oh, babe.
That was an incredible feat of engineering. It really did require a deep understanding of how that lagoon worked its ecosystem and very innovative construction techniques to pull that off.
That's what I find so mind-blowing. I was reading about how they didn't just lay foundations
Uh-huh.
on the seabed. They drove millions of wooden pilings, alder and oak mostly,
Mm.
deep into the mud and the clay. Can you imagine the scale of that project? I mean, and all, without any modern machinery.
Yeah, you try to wrap your head around that. It's really a testament to how ingenious they were. And choosing those specific types of wood, too, they're incredibly durable, alder and oak.
Yeah.
Especially in saltwater environments. It was really a clever approach. It allowed Venice to become this maritime powerhouse. You could almost say that their very foundation was linked to their economic success.
Yeah, you could say that. So it's not just gondolas and romance. It's serious engineering genius.
Mhm.
And that unique foundation led to a city layout unlike any other.
Yeah.
You've got this labyrinth of narrow alleyways, these hidden squares that just open up unexpectedly. And of course, the canals weaving through it all, like watery streets. And then the Grand Canal, the main artery of the city. It's lined with these palaces and churches, a real spectacle of history and grandeur. And get this, no cars.
It's a city that forces you to slow down, that's for sure, to experience it on foot or by boat. And speaking of grandeur, the architecture, it's a visual feast. It's this blend of Gothic, Renaissance, and Byzantine styles, and each building kind of tells a story, reflecting Venice's rich and layered past.
It's like walking through a living museum. And speaking of architectural icons, we have to talk about St. Mark's Basilica. It's not just a church. It's an explosion of Byzantine art and opulence. Those mosaics are incredible. They're not just pretty pictures. They depict biblical scenes and the history of Venice. It's a visual narrative crafted from thousands and thousands of these tiny little glass pieces.
St. Mark's Basilica was actually the Doge's chapel, a symbol of the Venetian Republic's power
Oh, wow.
and their religious devotion. And the Doge, for those who may not know, was the supreme authority in Venice for over 1,000 years, a position elected from among the city's most powerful families.
So not just a pretty facade then, but a seat of power and intrigue. And then right next to it, you have the Doge's Palace, another masterpiece, this one in the Venetian Gothic style. Pink and white marble, intricate carvings. It housed not just the Doge's residence, but also the government offices, the courts,
Wow.
even a prison. You can practically feel the weight of history within those walls.
I bet. And connecting the palace to the prison is the Bridge of Sighs, so named because it's said to be.
Yeah.
Where the prisoners would catch their last glimpse of freedom, sighing as they were led to their cells. It's a poignant reminder, I think, of the darker side of Venetian history, juxtaposed against this very romantic image that we often associate with the city.
That's what makes Venice so captivating, though, isn't it? The layers of history, the beauty, and the grit. But of course, we can't talk about Venice without mentioning the canals, the city's lifeblood. Just imagine gliding along in a gondola, the gentle rocking, the sound of the water lapping against the hull, the palazzos rising on either side. It's an experience that transports you back in time.
Absolutely, and for a more comprehensive view, hop on a vaporetto. The water bus. It's like the Venetian equivalent of a city tour, but on water. Cruising down the Grand Canal, you'll pass landmarks, like the Rialto Bridge, the city's oldest bridge, a marvel of engineering in itself.
I was reading about that. It was originally a pontoon bridge, then a wooden arch, before finally being rebuilt in stone in the late 16th century. Each iteration reflecting the evolution of Venetian engineering and the city's growing prosperity. It's more than just a bridge. It's a symbol of Venice's enduring spirit.
Exactly. And further down the Grand Canal, you'll see Cadoro, the Golden House. The facade was once covered in gold leaf. It shimmers even today, a reminder of Venice's opulent past.
Speaking of opulence, Venice wasn't just built on beauty and engineering. It was a powerhouse of trade and commerce. This wasn't just a pretty city-state. This was a maritime empire,
Oh, yeah.
controlling vast territories across the Mediterranean and beyond.
That's right.
I mean, they really had their hands in everything.
Venice was the gateway between Europe and the East, a melting pot of cultures and goods, spices, silks, precious stones, all flowed through their ports, bringing immense wealth and really shaping Venetian society. Their merchants, like the legendary Marco Polo, ventured as far as China, bringing back tales and treasures that really fueled Europe's fascination with the Orient.
Okay, but let's talk about Marco Polo for a second. His book, The Travels of Marco Polo, was a bestseller back in the day, but some historians now question the accuracy of his accounts. I mean, was he really the first European to reach China? Did he exaggerate his adventures? The debate continues even today, adding another layer of intrigue to Venice's story.
It's a good reminder that history is rarely straightforward. It's about interpretation, piecing together evidence, acknowledging that different perspectives exist.
Sure.
But regardless of the specifics, Marco Polo's travels, whether entirely accurate or embellished, they did play a role in shaping Europe's understanding of the East.
It's like a historical mystery novel unfolding right here in Venice.
And this cultural exchange wasn't just about goods either. It had a profound impact on Venetian art. Think about the Venetian school of painting, with masters like Titian, Tintoretto, Veronese. Their works were infused with this blend of Eastern and Western influences, rich colors, dramatic compositions, a real departure from the more austere styles of the time.
Yeah, I'm picturing those vibrant canvases, the play of light and shadow, the sense of drama and movement. It's like stepping into another world. And you can actually experience that firsthand at the Galleria dell'Accademia, right?
Absolutely, and it's housed in a former monastery, adding another layer of history to the experience. But what's really fascinating is that Venice's artistic legacy isn't confined to the past. The city continues to be a hub for contemporary art, most notably with the Venice Biennale.
Oh, yes, the Biennale. I've heard so much about it. It's like the Olympics of the art world, right? Held every 2 years, with countries from all over the globe showcasing their best contemporary artists. It's a massive event. It transforms Venice into this global stage for artistic expression.
And it's not just confined to traditional exhibition spaces either. The Biennale spills out into the city, with installations popping up in palazzos, gardens, even abandoned shipyards. It's this incredible fusion of old and new. The historic backdrop of Venice juxtaposed against cutting-edge contemporary art.
It sounds like a sensory overload in the best possible way.
Hmm.
But speaking of sensory experiences, we can't forget about the Venetian tradition of Carnival, elaborately masked figures roaming the streets and canals.
Carnival is more than just a party, though. It's a tradition deeply rooted in Venetian history, dating back to the 12th century. Those masks, often intricately handcrafted, they actually serve as a form of social leveling. During Carnival, social hierarchies were temporarily suspended, allowing people to move freely and anonymously through the city.
So under the cover of masks, everyone was equal. At least for a little while. It's like this explosion of creativity and social commentary, all wrapped up in a festive celebration. But let's be honest, all this exploring is going to work up an appetite. What about the food scene in Venice? What are some must-try dishes for those who want to experience the city through their taste buds?
Well, given its maritime history, it's no surprise that seafood plays a starring role in Venetian cuisine. One local delicacy is sarde in sour, sweet and sour marinated sardines. It's a dish that reflects the city's past as a trading hub, combining flavors from the Ear and the West.
I'm intrigued by that sweet and sour combination. It sounds like a flavor explosion. And for those feeling adventurous, I hear there's a dish called risotto al nero di seppia.
Ah, yes, risotto with squid ink. It's as visually striking as it is delicious. The black risotto contrasting beautifully with fresh seafood. It's a dish that embodies Venice's connection to the sea.
Okay, that one might be a little too adventurous for me. But for a true taste of Venetian social life, you have to experience cicchetti. I'm still not quite sure what exactly that entails. Can you paint a picture for our listener?
Imagine stepping into a baccaro, a traditional Venetian bar. The atmosphere is lively, locals and tourists mingling, glasses clinking, and on the counter you see these small plates piled high with bite-sized snacks. That's cicchetti.
So like Venetian tapas, what kind of things are we talking about here?
You'll find an incredible variety, from fried seafood to crostini topped with local cheeses and cured meats, marinated olives, artichoke hearts, even tiny meatballs. Each baccaro has its own specialties, often using seasonal ingredients. It's a real culinary adventure, a way to sample a range of flavors and experience the Venetian way of life.
Okay, I'm sold. And what would be the perfect drink to accompany these cicchetti carols?
Well, you can't go wrong with a classic Venetian spritz, a refreshing mix of Prosecco, Aperol, and soda water. It's the quintessential Venetian aperitivo, perfect for sipping as you savor those delicious bites. Or for something a bit more traditional, try an ombra. a small glass of local wine.
I'm getting thirsty just thinking about it. But amidst all this talk of beauty, art, and delicious food, we have to acknowledge that Venice faces some serious challenges. Tourism, while a vital part of its economy, also puts a strain on the city's delicate ecosystem and infrastructure.
It really is a double-edged sword. The sheer number of visitors each year contributes to overcrowding, wear and tear on historic buildings. Even pollution in the lagoon. It's a constant struggle to balance the economic benefits of tourism with the need to preserve Venice's unique character and fragile environment.
And then there's the ever-present threat of acqua alta, the high tides that periodically flood the city. I read that in recent years. These floods have become more frequent and severe, partly due to rising sea levels and climate change. It's a sobering reminder of the fragility of this incredible city.
It's a challenge that Venetians have been grappling with for centuries, but what's inspiring is their resilience and determination. The MOSE project, this complex system of mobile barriers designed to protect the lagoon from high tides, is one example of how they're fighting to safeguard Venice's future.
Can you explain a little more about how MOSE works? I'm picturing these giant walls rising up from the seabed,
Yeah,
which sounds pretty amazing.
it is quite remarkable. Essentially, these hollow barriers are filled with water, and they lie flat on the seabed when not in use. But when high tides threaten, compressed air is pumped into the barriers, forcing the water out and causing them to rise and block the incoming tide. It's a massive engineering feat, decades in the making, and it represents a significant step in protecting Venice from flooding.
It's a testament to human ingenuity and the will to preserve something precious. But beyond the engineering marvels, what about the human element? How are the people of Venice adapting to these challenges?
Venetians have a deep connection to their city, a sense of pride and belonging that runs deep. They're actively involved in preservation efforts, from restoring historic buildings to promoting sustainable tourism practices. There's a growing movement to encourage visitors to engage with Venice beyond the superficial, to experience its culture, its traditions, and its everyday life.
It's about moving beyond the tourist facade and connecting with the soul of the city.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a real push to redefine what it means to experience Venice. It's not just about, ticking off landmarks on a list, but about understanding the city's soul and the people who call it home. But with all these challenges, I can't help but wonder about the future of Venice. Is it destined to become a museum city, frozen in time? Or can it adapt and thrive in the 21st century?
That's a question that weighs heavily on the minds of many. There's no easy answer, but I think the key lies in finding a balance between preserving Venice's heritage and allowing it to evolve, between embracing tourism and managing its impact, between acknowledging the challenges and celebrating the city's resilience. Venice has always been a city of adaptation and innovation. Think about its very foundation, a city built on water, a testament to human ingenuity, and the ability to overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles.
Exactly. Throughout its history, Venice has faced numerous challenges: plagues, wars, economic downturns, and yes, even floods. And yet it has always found a way to rebound, to reinvent itself, to emerge stronger. It's a city that embodies the human spirit of resilience.
So maybe the question isn't whether Venice will survive, but how it will continue to evolve. What new chapters will be written in its long and storied history? And how can we as visitors and admirers contribute to its future in a positive and meaningful way?
That's the challenge and the opportunity before us. As we've explored in this deep dive, Venice is a city of layers, of contradictions, of beauty and challenges intertwined. It's a place that invites us to look beyond the surface, to engage with its complexities, and to appreciate its unique and fragile existence.
It's a reminder that Venice is not just a destination, it's an experience. It's about getting lost in its labyrinthine streets, discovering hidden courtyards, savoring the flavors of its cuisine, and connecting with its people and their stories.
And as we conclude our exploration, we encourage you, our listener, to continue your own deep dive into Venice. Whether through further research, virtual tours, or hopefully a future visit, there's always more to discover, more to learn, more to appreciate about this extraordinary city.
Venice is a city that stays with you long after you've left its canals. It sparks your curiosity, ignites your imagination, and challenges you to think about the relationship between humanity and the environment, between the past and the future.
And perhaps most importantly, it reminds us of the importance of preserving the beauty and wonder of our world, not just for ourselves, but for generations to come. So, as you continue your exploration of Venice, we'll leave you with this thought. How can we as individuals and as a global community contribute to ensuring that the magic of Venice continues to enchant and inspire for centuries to come?